I thought my wife would stay devoted to me for life. But on Christmas Day, I witnessed her fall from grace. 01 My name is Chin Bei, 34 years old, serving as a deputy general manager in a private company. My wife is 2 years younger than me, quite beautiful, working as a department manager at a bank. They say a woman at 30 is like a flower in bloom, and it's absolutely true, though my wife is 32. Her skin remains as dewy as a young girl's. When we go out, strangers often mistake her for my daughter, which leaves me both amused and exasperated. Having a beautiful and capable wife naturally made my career flourish and prosper. The saying, "A wife brings prosperity to her husband," was perfectly embodied in her. Thinking back to how I had to go through great lengths to win her over, standing out among her many suitors, I really put in a lot of effort. We've been married for nearly 5 years now, firmly established in this city. We bought a house and a car, and with both of us holding high-ranking positions, our combined annual income is quite substantial, allowing us to live a very comfortable life. But when it comes to the feelings between us, what weighs more heavily in my heart is guilt toward her. As for me, I might be a decent enough husband professionally, but in daily life, I've fallen far short of being a good one. Due to work demands, I often had to accompany my superiors to various social engagements, frequently finding myself in entertainment venues and drinking sessions. This meant I rarely had proper time to spend with my wife, constantly leaving early and returning late. Even during holidays, I'd be buried in tasks and supervising my team. Gradually, I paid less attention to my wife, unintentionally neglecting her in the process. I knew all too well that situations like this usually lead to the worst possible outcome. Marriage shattered. My wife never openly blamed me, but I knew she didn't truly feel that way in her heart. Deep down, she must have wished I'd spend more time with her and properly consider her feelings. I've been working hard to change this aspect of myself. On Christmas Eve, I finished delegating all my tasks early and left work ahead of schedule. A week prior, I'd already reserved a table at a highly recommended Western restaurant, planning to take my wife there for Christmas dinner. These past few years, she really has endured quite a bit of hardship. I'll make it up to her properly during Christmas. Inside the restaurant, I told the staff about my requirements and asked them to prepare the perfect atmosphere. Money was no object. The waitstaff were quite clever, setting up the venue beautifully. The candlelit dinner, flanked by roses and ambient lighting on both sides, looked incredibly romantic. The Christmas tree was already adorned with gifts prepared for my wife, and I was certain she would be overjoyed when she saw them. After setting everything up, I drove to my wife's workplace, ready to surprise her when she came out. Half an hour later, what arrived was a black Mercedes-Benz van. The Mercedes stopped at the bank entrance, and when I saw who stepped out of the car, my eyes widened in shock. My face froze in disbelief. The person getting out of the car was actually my wife. Behind her followed a middle-aged man around 40 years old. The man wore a suit, had a well-maintained figure, and carried an air of sophistication. Wait, my mind suddenly exploded with realization. I know this man. His name is Zhou Sheng, the bank president and my wife's boss. After getting out of the car, they didn't go inside but stood talking at the entrance. Judging by my wife's coquettish scowl, it couldn't have been work-related. When Zhou Sheng said something, my wife even pinched his arm hard. Instead of getting angry, he smiled and wrapped his arm around hers. Watching this scene, my heart turned cold. A sense of unease flooded my heart. Their behavior was far too intimate, nothing like how employees and superiors should interact. After saying a few words, Mr. Zhou got back into the car, and my wife turned to re-enter the bank. I didn't confront them, afraid of alerting the enemy. After driving the car away, I took out my phone and called my wife, telling her I had reserved a table at a Western restaurant and wanted to spend a warm Christmas with her. On Christmas night, I saw a long-lost happiness on my wife's face, which slowly filled me with guilt. If I had done these things earlier, perhaps everything that followed could have been changed. Unfortunately, there are no second chances in this world. 02, I didn't mention what I saw outside her bank that morning. Speaking it aloud might crack the foundation of our relationship, but caution was necessary. I had no intention of wearing an invisible crown of disgrace. After that morning's incident, I began tracking my wife's movements with hawk-like attention. Over the next 3 days, I noticed her making frequent calls to the bank. When questioned, she'd simply claim it was work-related. As for whether it was truly work-related, I had no way of knowing and could only remain doubtful. A week passed like this, during which I noticed nothing unusual. Nor did my wife have any further contact with Mr. Zhou. Even so, my suspicions about my wife remained unresolved. That weekend evening, I accidentally discovered a text message on my wife's phone. Reading the text message, I couldn't stay seated any longer. I've been missing you more and more lately. My darling, I really wish I could keep you by my side forever. And seeing this content made my whole body tremble. Slumping onto the sofa, my face turned pale. Clenching my fists, I stared at the bathroom door. She really did betray me. After the text message incident, my wife started leaving early and returning late, sometimes not coming home at all. Every time I questioned her, she'd have a pile of excuses ready. Her attitude, growing increasingly dismissive. There's a saying that holds true. Love and its absence can both be seen in the details. Judging by all these details, my wife's love for me had long since completely vanished. After a shower, my wife walked straight into the bedroom and soon emerged wearing a completely new outfit. "Honey, I need to go out for a while," she said. I asked, "Where are you going so late?" My wife replied, "My best friend organized a gathering and invited me to join." I initially didn't want her to go, but then reconsidered it might be an opportunity. So I told her to be careful and come back early. After she left, I immediately put on my coat and followed her. I didn't take my own car, but instead hailed a taxi to follow her. The car stopped in front of a bar, and my wife got out and went inside. I didn't go in, but found a spot to stake out. It wasn't until 2:30 in the morning that I saw a group of people come out, and among them, I spotted my wife with Zhou Sheng. I saw my wife get into Zhou Sheng's car, so I quickly hailed a taxi. Half an hour later, Zhou Sheng's car stopped right below my apartment building. The two got out, and Zhou Sheng reluctantly hugged my wife for a while before driving off. Witnessing this scene, my blood boiled with fury, rage surging straight to my brain. I desperately wanted to rush forward, stop Zhou Sheng's car, and confront him face to face. I've given up. For the harm they've done to me, I'll make them repay 100-fold. To gather evidence, I spent $5,000 on a camera to document their affair. Then, it was just a matter of waiting for the right opportunity. Since they won't let me live in peace, I won't let them live happily either. To fully immerse myself in the investigation, I used up all my annual leave for this year. Over the past few days, I've been tailing my wife and Mr. Zhou. Finally, this afternoon, I seized my opportunity. At 4 o'clock, my wife was picked up by Mr. Zhou from the bank. To avoid colleagues, she exited through the back door. I followed them in a car borrowed from a coworker. After driving for half an hour, they stopped at a hotel. Zhou Sheng was clearly a repeat offender the moment he stepped out of the car. He acted cautiously, constantly checking behind him. Even when entering the hotel, he made his wife go in first and only entered after she had checked in. I took a deep breath, tucked the camera into my bag, put on my hat, and walked into the hotel. I knew my chance had come. 03 as soon as I entered the hotel lobby. I took out my phone and pretended to make a call. "Hello, Manager Zhou. I've arrived. Where are you?" "What?" "Bad signal in the elevator." "Then I'll ask the front desk." Approaching the front desk, I asked, "Hello, may I ask which room the gentleman just now is in?" The receptionist replied, "Oh, you mean Manager Zhou. He's in room 305. Well, looks like Mr. Zhou is a regular here." I said thank you and stepped into the elevator. Inside the elevator, my emotions were complicated, not just anger, but even more so, humiliation. To be honest, I couldn't understand why my wife would betray me. I truly couldn't comprehend it. Our life was already good enough. Why would she do something like this? No matter what, she would have to pay for her wrongdoing. Arriving at room 305, I first scanned the area to ensure no one was around, then pressed my ear against the door to listen. The door's soundproofing was too effective. I couldn't hear a thing. After confirming the hallway was empty, I gripped the doorknob with one hand while sliding a bank card through the gap with the other. With a soft click, the door swung open. The moment the door opened, I could feel my heart pounding uncontrollably, slowly pushing the door ajar. The living room came into view. I quietly stepped inside and closed the door behind me. The instant I entered, familiar sounds reached my ears from the bedroom ahead. Hearing those sounds, it felt like every blood vessel in my body burst. A surge of rage flooded through me, and my chest tightened unbearably, making it hard to breathe. I really wanted to kick the door open, rush in, and chop them into mincemeat, but I still held myself back. I will use the most painful and cruel methods to deal with them. I will make them wish they were dead. Every time I wanted to touch my wife during this period, she would stop me with various excuses. Looking back now, it's truly laughable. I actually believed she was genuinely unwell. Opening the bedroom door, just a crack, I saw the utterly disgusting scene inside. The sight of my wife's pleasure made my whole body tremble. My nails digging deep into my flesh, the sharp pain kept me sane. Taking a deep breath, I adjusted the camera angle and captured every moment of what was happening inside. As the scene grew increasingly nauseating, I could bear it no longer. I turned off the camera and left the hotel. Though my heart ached, I had secured the evidence. Leaving the hotel, I felt completely dazed, driving aimlessly through the streets until 7 in the evening. It wasn't until my wife called that I snapped back to reality. She asked why I wasn't home yet, and I told her I had to work overtime and would be back later. In the car, I took out my laptop and transferred the video from the camera. After watching it, my body trembled uncontrollably, and tears, weak, humiliating tears, streamed down my face. I truly don't understand. I gave her my complete trust. So why did she have to hurt me? Could it be that our 5 years of marriage meant nothing to her? I made 3 copies of the video, one on my phone, one on my computer, and another on a USB drive stored in the home safe. When I got home, it was almost exactly 8 o'clock. My wife was already asleep. I sat by the bed, quietly watching her, momentarily lost in thought. Her fair complexion glowed with a rosy hue, looking utterly captivating. I sneered inwardly. Being well-watered certainly made a difference. I reached out, tempted to strangle my wife alive in her sleep. If she died, my humiliation would vanish like smoke. But would it really? Even if she died, that humiliation would linger in my heart forever. And most importantly, Zhou Sheng was still alive. They should die together if they must die. I had just lain down when my wife turned over and wrapped her arms around mine, a smile still on her face. She used to say, holding my arm gave her a sense of security, helping her sleep soundly. In the past, hearing those words would fill me with joy. I felt truly happy. Now, my heart feels like an overturned spice box, indescribably chaotic. Memories of past happiness keep surfacing, only deepening the hatred in my heart for my wife. That very night, I made up my mind. I decided to bring my revenge forward. They torment me, and I'll torment them too. I had just lain down when my wife turned over and wrapped her arms around mine, a smile still on her face. She used to say, holding my arm gave her a sense of security, helping her sleep soundly. In the past, hearing those words would always make me happy, filling me with a sense of bliss. Now, my heart feels like an overturned spice box, indescribably chaotic. Memories of past happiness keep surfacing, only deepening the hatred in my heart for my wife. That very night, I made up my mind. I decided to bring my revenge forward. They torment me, and I shall torment them in return. 0 for the next day. I began preparing the first step of my revenge plan. The bank where my wife works opens at 7 a.m., and Zhou Sheng, as the branch manager, usually arrives a little later. I placed a prepared box on a park bench and then called for a courier to pick it up. I've already obtained Zhou Sheng's phone number. When the delivery guy was about to pick up the item, Zhou Sheng coincidentally arrived at the bank. Given the distance, it would take less than 10 minutes for the delivery guy to hand the item to Zhou Sheng. I sat in the car, watching the bank entrance. Just as I had guessed, after about 7 minutes, the delivery guy arrived at the bank entrance and took out his phone to make a call. Shortly after, Zhou Sheng came out. When Zhou Sheng took the item from the delivery guy's hands, his expression was completely bewildered. He frowned at the gift box and was just about to open it when I immediately dialed his number. Zhou Sheng answered the phone and asked, "Hello, who is this?" I deliberately lowered my voice. "Hello, President Zhou." Hear my voice. Zhou Sheng frowned even deeper. "Who the hell are you?" "Who I am doesn't matter, but I think you'll be very interested in what I have." Zhou Sheng heard this, glanced at the box in his hand, and immediately understood. "Did you send this box?" I didn't answer, shrinking completely into the car. Zhou Sheng was indeed an old fox. The moment he realized I'd sent the box, his eyes immediately began scanning the surroundings. If I hadn't been hiding at the right time, I might have been discovered by him. I picked up my phone. "Director Zhou, you'd better take what's inside home and enjoy it alone. If there's someone with you right now, then your performance at the hotel might just..." Before I could finish, Zhou became visibly agitated. "Who the hell are you? What do you want?" "I don't want to do anything. Just wanted to give you a surprise." Without waiting for him to speak again, I hung up the phone directly. Zhou Sheng stood at the bank entrance, his expression showing fear and terror. Seeing him like that made me extremely happy. When I got home in the evening, I saw my wife sitting on the sofa with a visibly troubled expression. It was obvious that Zhou Sheng had told her about today's incident. So now she was starting to feel afraid too. I ignored my wife, cheerfully humming a tune as I carried my clothes into the bathroom. At bedtime, my wife was unusually restless, tossing and turning beside me all night. I didn't bother with her, knowing full well she'd have many sleepless nights ahead. This was only the beginning. The next morning, I called Mr. Zhou again. Before I could speak, his voice came through the line. "Brother, let's talk this through properly. Okay, if you want money, I can give it to you. But you mustn't release that video. I have a family. You can't ruin my life." His words infuriated me. How dare he mention family to me? My family was already destroyed by him. Why should I spare his? He made his bed. Now he must lie in it. I began. "You're about to retire soon, aren't you?" Zhou Sheng's slightly trembling voice came through the phone. "And not yet." I chuckled and said, "Have you gone senile? You're almost 50 this year. Shouldn't you have reached retirement age already?" He replied, "No way. I'm in great shape. I can easily keep working for another 10 years at least." Well, this old guy didn't catch the meaning behind my words. I said coldly, "Stop playing dumb in front of me. You know very well what the consequences are." He immediately changed his tune. Yes. I'm really getting senile. I should retire next month. Normally, Mr. Zhou would have had several more years before retirement, but with the dirt I had on him, he had no choice but to obey me and retire early. "You're smart. Before you retire, you'll need to do me one more favor." All right, boss. As long as you don't release the video, I'll do whatever you say. Anything you want, I'll do it. Zhou Sheng was now completely under my control. I said, "Tomorrow, find any excuse to fire the woman in the video. Then I'll give you an address. Tell her to go work there." "Oh, this matter is a bit what? Tricky." I deliberately raised my voice. "No, not tricky at all. Just wait for my good news. He hurriedly replied. After sending him the address, I hung up the phone. 05. I called my wife again to tell her I'd be working late at the office tonight. I drove to a KTV entrance, and as soon as I got out of the car, a man approached me. His name was Chun Sheng, my childhood best friend. Chin bro, long time no see. I've missed you so much. With that, he stepped forward and gave me a big hug. I smiled and said, "You've been doing pretty well for yourself lately." "Huh?" he replied. "Nah, I'm just getting by. Come on, bro, let me take you inside for some fun." When we entered the private room, the table was covered with drinks and fruit platters, with a few good-looking girls sitting nearby. This guy's still the same as ever, always flirting with girls every day. He opened a bottle of beer and handed it to me. "Bro, let's drink." After taking a sip, I said, "Still fooling around every day? Huh? You should settle down and find a wife soon. Your dad's still waiting to hold his grandson." He wrapped his arm around a girl and said nonchalantly, "I haven't had enough fun out here yet. When I get tired of playing around, then I'll go back and take over his factory." Hearing his words, I could only shake my head and smile helplessly. Chun Sheng was different from me. His father owned the factory, employing 300 to 400 people. In our small town, his family was like the landlords of ancient times. This guy was no decent fellow either. Since childhood, he had relied on his family's influence to bully and oppress others. As he grew older, his misdeeds only multiplied. Once, while drunk, he assaulted someone's girlfriend. The incident caused a huge uproar, but his father stepped in and settled it with money. From then on, that kid behaved much better. After a few drinks, I started talking more freely. "Ah Sheng, how's that thing I asked you to handle coming along?" Chun Sheng replied, "It's all settled. They can start working as soon as they arrive." I said, "That'll do." Chun Sheng noticed my expression was off and asked, "Bro, have you been hiding something from me lately? We're brothers. What's really going on?" I took a sip of wine and told him about how our wife had betrayed us both. That shameless woman. Chun got so angry, he jumped up from the couch, slamming the table and cursing loudly. "Bro, I told you long ago she was no good. But you just wouldn't believe me. I've been around women my whole damn life. What kind of woman haven't I seen? That type of hers. Pure trash through and through." Hearing him say this made me feel even worse. Chun looked at me and said, "Don't worry about it. Bro, I'll handle this for you. I'll make sure she's finished for good." I said, "I already have a plan in mind. You just need to help me." Chun Sheng nodded. "No problem. As long as I'm here, I won't let you suffer any more injustice." His words warmed my heart. The next day, when I returned home, I saw my wife sitting on the sofa, her eyes red and swollen. Obviously, it was Zhou Shang who got her the bank job. And now she's crying like this. I pretended to be concerned. "Honey, what's wrong? Why are you crying so hard?" "The bank fired me." At the mention of being fired, she couldn't hold back anymore and collapsed onto the sofa, weeping uncontrollably. I pretended to be shocked. "What? Why would they fire you out of the blue?" "The manager said I don't respect clients and am often late, claiming I'm not suited for bank work." "That's absolute nonsense. You go work at 6 every morning. When have you ever been late? They're clearly doing this on purpose. I'm going to talk to your bank president." As I stood up angrily, my wife quickly grabbed my arm to stop me. "Honey, don't act rashly. If you go to the bank manager, it'll only make things more complicated." I said, "Then what should we do? We can't just start job hunting all over again." My wife replied, "When I was let go, the boss already arranged another job for me. He said it would suit me well." I said, "That's good then. I'll go with you to check it out when the time comes." I quickly turned and headed back to the room, bursting into laughter as soon as I entered. A wave of satisfaction washed over me. 06 When I woke up in the morning, I happened to receive a text from Mr. Chun containing Mrs. Zhou's phone number and some basic information. Mrs. Zhou is 45 years old this year and serves as the principal of a kindergarten. I picked up the phone and called her. The call connected quickly, and a woman's voice came through. "Hello, who is this? Are you Mr. Zhou's wife?" "I am. May I ask what this is about?" I said, "I'm a journalist. Recently we received reports from the public that your husband has behavioral issues and frequently harasses female tellers. Are you aware of this matter?" "What? I didn't know about this." Judging by her tone over the phone, she genuinely seemed unaware. I embellished the story when telling her, then hung up the phone. Though it was just an ordinary call, it could still cause Zhou Sheng quite a bit of trouble, at the very least. He wouldn't have an easy time at home. Then I made call after call to Zhou Sheng. The moment the call connected, Zhou Sheng's furious shouting came through the line. "I've done everything you asked. Why are you still calling me? What exactly do you want?" I sneered. "Huh? What do I want? Don't you know what wrongs you've committed yourself?" This time, he froze. "Brother, I don't know how I've offended you. Can I apologize? Let's be frank. Will you let me go? I've already retired. Just want to spend time at home with my wife and kids now." I said, "That's not up to you, and you'd better save your scheming. The slightest move from you, and your video will be headline news." He pleaded in a tearful voice. "I beg you, please let me go. I really don't know how I've offended you. A great man like you shouldn't hold a grudge against someone like me. Just spare me, won't you?" Hearing this, I trembled with rage. I immediately shouted into the phone, How dare you ask me to spare you? The moment you destroyed someone else's family. You should have known this day would come. He said. Who are you to that woman? I swear I really didn't mean to do it. I was drunk that day. And she was the one who came on to me. I said, oh, really? I'm not lying to you. I was genuinely drunk. She said she'd take me home. But who knew home meant a hotel? I messed up in the moment, and I've regretted it ever since. But what could I do? She kept coming after me. Did you have no feelings for her at all? No, I was just fooling around with her. There wasn't any real feeling at all. I had activated the recording function in advance and captured every word Zhou Sheng said. Zhou Sheng went on to say many more disgusting things about my wife, all of which I recorded. After hanging up, I edited the audio recording, saved it to a USB drive, and mailed it to my wife. My wife came home very late. She deliberately avoided me as soon as she entered, but I still noticed something was off. Her eyes were red and swollen, and her face was puffy. Clearly, she'd received the USB drive and had gone to confront Zhou Sheng about it. No surprise, Zhou Sheng must have confessed to her. The slap mark on my wife's face was likely from him. After returning to the room, my wife burst into tears. A while later, she came out. Honey, there's something I need to tell you. I stood up immediately. Let's talk tomorrow. Something urgent came up at the company, and I need to go back to handle it. Without waiting for her to finish, I hurriedly got up and left. Judging by my wife's expression, she probably wanted to confess to me, but I wasn't going to give her that chance. As it happened, Mr. Chen's plan was also being set in motion. I didn't have time to deal with my wife during this period. 07 at 2 in the morning. I called Mr. Zhou again. Good evening. President Zhou. What exactly do you want from me? I've already done as you said, and now she hates me to death. Can't you just let me go? Zhou Sheng's voice carried utter despair. It's as if I were the black and white impermanence from the underworld, coming periodically to collect his soul. I said, it's not enough yet. Then what do you want? He asked, as if he had nothing left to lose. I said, it seems you still haven't taken my words to heart. It's been 3 days, and she still hasn't gone to work. Zhou Sheng looked somewhat troubled. If she's unwilling to go, there's nothing I can do. The place you mentioned is just 2. I said, 2 what? I'm giving you 2 more days. If she still hasn't gone by then, you're finished. With that, I hung up the phone directly. When I got home, I saw my wife sitting on the sofa. From the look of her, she seemed to have been waiting for me to return. I looked at her and asked, it's so late. Why aren't you resting yet? She looked up at me and said, there's something I need to tell you. What is it? Let's talk tomorrow. I'm a bit sleepy. Qinbei, do you already know something? She stood up, staring straight at me. What are you talking about? Honey, what's this all about? I brushed it off with a couple of casual remarks. My wife stared into my eyes, making me uneasy, before she finally sighed and said, never mind, let's sleep. I couldn't sleep that night. My wife had been acting strangely today, as if she'd noticed something. I had to speed up my plan. Sooner or later, they'd find out. The next afternoon, I called Mr. Chun and arranged the next steps for him. That old bastard Zhou somehow had some kind of magic over my wife. She actually foolishly listened to him and went to work at that place. Honestly, I could hardly believe it. The address I gave Zhou was for a KTV in town, and the owner of that KTV happened to be Mr. Chun. There was plenty of business at the KTV, and some women would engage in prostitution to earn more money. Mr. Chun never stopped them, always turning a blind eye to such matters. In the evening, I went to the KTV's surveillance room in the afternoon. There, I saw my wife walk in, dressed glamorously. To be honest, seeing my wife suddenly become a hostess made me feel somewhat upset. But when I thought about how she had betrayed me, I stopped caring. I spent the entire day with Mr. Chun at the KTV. And it wasn't until 9 p.m. that Mr. Zhou arrived. At that very moment, my wife had just gotten off work. The moment their eyes met, something was clearly off. My wife seemed to still be angry with Zhou Sheng and turned to leave. But Zhou Sheng grabbed her arm. I don't know what Zhou Sheng said to her, but my wife ended up getting into his car. Watching this scene, I sneered inwardly. That old bastard was full of it, telling me he had no feelings for my wife. Yet the second they met, he dragged her away. There was no need to guess where the two of them were headed. On her first day at work, my wife was assigned to host drinking sessions, but fortunately no one laid a hand on her. I've looked into it. Those customers today were all paid by Mr. Zhou. Seems he's deeply infatuated with my wife. He'd rather spend money hiring people to patronize the business than let strangers touch her. Since he enjoys lying, he can't blame me for what's coming. I sent the prepared video to Zhou's wife, then drove after them with Chun in the car, just as I expected. The car stopped at a hotel. 08 about 10 minutes after they went upstairs. I went up to take a look. They'd already started. Back in the car, Chun looked at me and asked, bro, should we make our move? I nodded. It's time to make our move. Upon hearing this, Chun Sheng immediately perked up. He let a few men out of the car and walked into the hotel. Before entering, Chun Sheng gave me his assurance. Bro, don't worry. I'll definitely teach that old bastard a lesson. I guarantee he'll spend the rest of his life paralyzed in bed. About 2 minutes after Chun Sheng took his men upstairs, I called the police and reported a prostitution case. After a while, Chun Sheng returned with his men. Bro, It's done. That old bastard probably won't dare to mess with women for the rest of his life. Judging by Mr. Chen's expression, the beating must have been quite severe. I drove the car nearby, and after about 10 minutes, the police arrived. Then Mr. Zhou and his wife were brought down by the officers. Mr. Zhou had to be carried down. He couldn't even walk. His wife was utterly terrified, her face completely drained of color. After the two were taken away by the police, I contacted reporters to have the news published. The wording of the news article was specially requested by me, enough to ruin Zhou Sheng's life forever. The next morning, the news was printed in the papers. The headline read, "Bank manager harasses subordinate, forces himself on her, and destroys her family." The incident blew up, and the video went viral. Word spread through my wife's alumni groups and family chats. Everyone knew about it and felt deeply ashamed, with many actively discussing the scandal. Her reputation was utterly ruined. Both classmates and colleagues now regarded her with contempt. When I went to pick her up, she seemed off, dazed, and visibly haggard, as if she'd aged years overnight. She saw me and was about to speak when I directly pulled out the divorce papers. "Sign it. I don't want to waste any more time." Seeing the divorce papers in my hand, my wife froze, staring at me in disbelief. "You really want to divorce me?" I nodded without saying much. Seeing that I was serious, my wife immediately knelt on the ground, begging me to give her one more chance. I said, "I've given you many chances, but you never cared." After hearing this, she completely lost all hope. When she signed the agreement, I noticed her eyes were bloodshot and her hand holding the pen trembled uncontrollably. As she signed, she looked up at me again with those tear-filled eyes, as if trying to elicit my sympathy. I turned away without acknowledging her. After signing, she could no longer hold back and collapsed to the floor, breaking down in uncontrollable sobs. I felt ashamed and left directly. From now on, my life belongs to me alone, and the evil they committed has already been punished. The end.